It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show.
Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 393. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Silk song, silk song, silk song.
Ham.
Hello and happy birthday, Belle.
And Thalen.
Hello.
I don't think, have any of us recorded on our birthday before?
I feel like we would have had to.
Surely, like in almost 400 episodes, it's a thing that's happened.
We objectively do not record on my birthday.
That's true.
It's true.
That is true. Thank you all. It was a pretty chill day. Also, if there's background noise, I apologize, but it is hot.
Yeah.
Because we are going through a heat wave and the hellscape that is our area right now.
Up in where we're at, we're going through the opposite of that.
I would love to have that. Could you mail me a box of cold air?
Yes, please.
It's like the coldest June,
long time.
in a long time.
Yeah, I would like that. Send that here.
The
Climate
contrast
change.
The contrast is last year we had the hospital on record. So
It was very hot last year.
Yeah, it's the last couple of years. It has been getting hot real early.
There's been a couple of days where it broke 60 degrees.
yeah, it's been breaking 60 degrees most of the time.
It's hit 70 a couple of times. I think it hit 70 today, actually.
Sounds delightful.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I would like some colds. Thank you. Please mail them to me. It has been just sweltering, but also it's okay because I'm mostly staying inside because it's too hot to go outside. The problem is this is not a thing that has happened this week. It is a thing that has happened over the course of several weeks, but we are in the middle of not E3 time because
it sure isn't E3 right now.
It sure isn't E3. It's exactly not E3. But there's a lot of shows. The only one of which that I have actually watched in real time was the one for Microsoft because that was interesting.
I mean, I didn't watch that in real time, but I did watch that synced up with Ash and Tam.
Cool.
It was interesting.
The part that just was weird is, yes, I know that more than likely the Microsoft Blizzard deal is going through, but it was real weird to see the announcements now just happening on the Microsoft feed.
Yeah, that did confuse me for a little while.
I'll be honest. Most of I am not feeling great about the whole Activision Blizzard as a company right now, and the game announcements they had might have been tainted by that, but also watching them, I mostly felt nothing. And maybe that's because I'm no longer the target audience for Blizzard games.
I mean, speaking of tainted, that Diablo announcement, it was not at a good time.
It was not. Pretty much all of the stuff that I've seen regarding Diablo 4 has been devs saying, no, really, we're not going to have evil monetization. No, really, trust us.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I don't trust them.
the trust is gone.
So here's the problem is they're not actually saying there won't be evil monetization. It's a very specific business speak answer. And I really want that to mean that there won't be evil monetization, but I'm not entirely certain that's what that means. They basically said, it is our intent for this game to be a full-price box game with cosmetics to buy and eventually full-price DLC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That doesn't say no buying power. That doesn't say no egregious monetizations. It just says, here's some things that we will be selling.
It just says we're going to charge you $60 and then do those things.
Yeah.
Which is the old EA model, the Battlefront model.
And I guess that's been part of the whole frustration with Diablo Immortal is it was a very public closed beta, open beta, whatever process, and none of that monetization was in until they shut it off and went live. Like there was some monetization in, but it wasn't that bad.
When you start taking money, your product is now launched.
Yes.
Right.
Like we talked about that before.
Well, no, I mean like in the last round of testing that folks like Maxroll, folks like Riker talked about, like the monetization seemed pretty chill.
Sure.
And then all that changed once we launched.
It's almost like they knew what people's reaction would be and wanted to hold off until the last moment on that.
That is very much what happened.
Well, and even if it's not, even if it's just, oh, we didn't realize people would hate it this much, it doesn't matter because that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's one of those like, how much are you attributing to incompetence versus malice?
I mean, it can be both.
It's true.
Yeah, I suspected a little bit of both.
And like realistically, and honestly, like realistically, the open question is like, how do games make the money they need to survive in a way that is not predatory?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a real answer that nobody likes,
which is raising the price above $60 a box.
No, because you can't do that. If you raise the like the people are losing it over these price increases for PS5 games.
Yeah,
a $10 price increase, and people are just flipping the shit out.
Yeah, well, and a $10 price increase, $10 price increase is enough to like light the torches and pitchforks, and yet it's nowhere close to the real cost. And so as a result, you have the games as this really hit-driven industry where like most games that are made aren't really making that much money. They're just subsidized by the really big ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer that nobody likes is scope it back until you have until what you can make matches what you will make.
Yeah.
But the problem is that it's this industry-wide prisoner's dilemma where as long as there's even one person who refuses to play that, everybody has to play that way. And it's not really like people who play games are asking for less now.
Oh no.
No, they're definitely asking for like, okay, yes, games need to make more money. We have mentioned this a lot in the past. This isn't it. This is not it. Like, if this is the way forward, I might stop playing games because there's no way in the world that I can stand up to that much manipulation in how they're trying to get my money.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Well, and by asking for less, I mostly mean like, almost like the meme that I see periodically that's like, I want fewer games with less content and, worse art.
I want to pay more money for games with worse art, and I'm not even kidding about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
we kind of need to get to a place where a game like Unpacking is kind of a normal level of.
So here's the thing with Diablo Immortal is like, I actually really like the game. Like the game itself is pretty fun. They would have gotten money from me. They would have gotten a non-zero amount of money and quite a bit of it probably, but not like this. Just not like this at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, games that I feel like I can participate in fully for free or a modest amount, like the equivalent of a subscription cost. That's great. I will give you my money. Things that feel predatory, I just need to not engage with at all.
And I know there's a way to do that game to where it wouldn't feel that way. Because, right or wrong, Genshin is kind of that game. Genshin's got its own problems. But there's absolutely a way to do everything that you need to do and engage with almost all the systems for free. And it doesn't feel awful doing it.
There are a lot of examples in the mobile space and now elsewhere that are examples of monetization that are, when you get down to it, in things like a battle pass, that's a little manipulative. The paid tier is definitely, and the whole concept is entirely based on fear of missing out. but battle passes are common. Players are mostly accepting of them now.
And honestly, battle passes are starting to evolve.
Yes, battle passes are, a lot of them anyway, are starting to be less bad than some of the initial concepts were.
Well, and honestly, like, battle passes don't bother me at all, because if I have engaged with the game enough to get to the end of a battle pass without paying, I can make a decision, okay, is what I would have gotten now worth it for me? And I get that's not their intent with the battle pass, but that's how I engage with battle passes.
I mean, the intent is you unlock this free thing. It might actually be nothing when most battle passes. But here's the thing you could have gotten if you had given us money.
And if you'll give us some money now, you can still get it. So,
Yeah, and like that doesn't bother me. Like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. No.
It bothers me. It bothers me less than a lot of other things.
I
Because
made it to the
among
end of the
other
battle
things,
pass, and
it's
now
a finite amount of money.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
I
definitely
basically
engage.
use it as a subscription fee.
Yeah.
Basically,
effectively.
yeah. I mean, that's how I
Yeah.
play Phantasy Star 2. I treated that as the subscription cost.
Yeah. I engage with those pretty much the same way that Bell does, the incorrect way of, well, I've played this content enough to unlock all the things that would be in the battle pass, so I guess I'll get the battle pass now.
I mean, it is essentially my reward for doing the free tier. Yeah, I'll unlock the rest of the stuff. It's cool.
Gacha games are the step up from that,
Yo.
in which you aren't guaranteed anything, usually. You can put money in and you will get something out,
Yeah, you're guaranteed something. It's just probably garbage.
or something you already have, or so on and so forth. You usually can't guarantee the thing you want.
No. If you're lucky, maybe the game has the mechanic where after you haven't gotten the thing you want enough, they'll give it to you.
I was gonna say, Magic Arena will give you the thing you want eventually.
Magic Arena has wild cards, right?
Yep.
Honestly, this is why I've started buying like the collector's edition plus season pass for a bunch of games, because I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna pay a fixed amount up front, and then that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, even I've spent a significant amount of money at this point on Star Citizen, but not because it has forced me to do so. Quite the opposite, in fact.
Yeah, that's the big thing with me is like if your game tries to force me to spend money, I'm probably going to walk away from your game. If your game doesn't force me to spend money and gives me opportunities to spend money, there's a good chance I'm going to give you money.
Right. Exactly. Like make me feel good spending money.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing that's, I mean, to continue the comparison I was making, like I've spent a lot of money on Star Citizen and not checked out of it, whereas there are like mobile games that are asking for 50 cents, but the way they ask me for 50 cents, I've checked out of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like Ash was saying before, like games have to make money in some way, but there's ways not to do it.
Yeah, like the way you ask for money matters.
Mm-hmm.
Matters a lot. Boy, we've come a long way from horse armor.
We really have, and that wasn't that long ago. Like
It really wasn't.
it's like it didn't launch with horse armor. I don't remember exactly when that came out, but
I'm pretty sure Horse Armor was 2005 or 2006.
yeah.
The worst part is that, like,
Well, no, horse armor was a Skyrim thing, wasn't
No,
it?
it was
No, it was
Uh-uh.
Oblivion.
it's Oblivion.
Oh shit! It was Oblivion. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, so
I thought it was a Skyrim thing.
Nope. No, the worst part about horse armor is like the complaints about it seem so trite now.
uh-huh.
Right. Like it's so innocent.
Well, and the thing that gets me is that, like, my unpopular opinion of the time was, oh, this is probably the future of games, because you can't, because the alternative is you just charge everybody more, and nobody is willing to do that. Like, if video games cost what they probably should, the industry would probably collapse.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the budget of video games compared to the budget of movies, and then like the audience size, like I don't know, you can make some extrapolations. But yeah, like $60 for the kinds of games that are being made nowadays, $60 doesn't really cut it.
I mean, video games used to cost a lot more. They cost more not accounting for inflation in the past.
They did.
So it's weird that that sort of stopped.
And we've also made them more expensive to develop with more and more expensive features.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And there's been this weird shift, and it's one of those things that like economic circles talk about a lot. And I always find it a fascinating discussion because it's one of those things that's both completely accurate and you can't talk about, which is in a lot of ways, the thing that is equitable is that people pay what they can afford for a thing. Like the amount that a person pays for a game varies based on what the game is worth to them and what they can afford to pay, at which point in aggregate, the game is making enough money.
Right.
But like, that is a hard model to describe, much less sell to people.
Well, yeah. I mean, that sure doesn't sound like capitalism.
Well,
Except it is, though. It
Except
extremely is.
it's extremely capitalism, but you know what it isn't? It isn't the pure skill-based meritocracy that games like to imagine that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's still this fervent belief in the like game playing community that like, oh, you should have to earn everything in game. If you should have to earn everything in game, and you shouldn't be able to buy power and all of this other stuff. And it's like, well, sure, but also what you have done is you have said the only people who can play this game are the people who can sink hundreds of hours into it.
Yeah.
To expand on one of the things you just said, though, one of the things that is really important is that a lot of people like playing and optimizing games. And if the answer is pay money, if that is the answer to how to optimize the game, that's a problem.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So that's why tends to be a lot of pushback against buying power.
Yeah, and you get into this weird state where it's like, hey, it's a problem if the way you buy power is to optimize. But if you're buying power so that you, a person who can only play 3 hours a week, can play with your friends who are all playing 40, I mean, how much of a problem is that? Or is the answer...
And that's why there's not a whole lot of like argument against Guild Wars, say, instant 80 item.
Right. I mean, honestly, it's part of why I think that leveling systems maybe should be rethought or removed entirely, because then you can play with your friends and you don't have to worry about what happens. You don't have to worry about the difference between currency in various forms, whether that's time or actual cash. But I don't know. I don't know what you do about that.
Well, and the problem is, it's not just a debate about buying power. It's a debate about artificially gaining power, because we all agree that socially artificially gaining power is fine. Like having a friend run you through something that you can't accomplish yet. Nobody generally thinks about that one.
Yep.
I mean, the developers of Diablo Immortal thought about that one.
But that's basically you're social engineering your way to power, instead of, the folks that don't have an established friends base in a game can't do that. So I don't know, like I think it's almost that we need to define what the term pay to win actually is.
Good fucking luck with that.
Because like XP boosts seem far less insidious than just buying items.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna buy a full set of epics is like, okay, well, whatever. You have now, devalued.
Cut out the gameplay process.
Yeah, you've cut out the game part.
Even then, though, like boosts can be problematic too, because frequently they are placed in games such that the leveling experience sucks without them. Or frame looking at you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I almost sort of wonder, like, what would happen if you had a game that was just really upfront about how they expected you to engage with it, rather than being like, here is the game, engage as you please. Be like, hey, so here's how we make money. These are the things that drive development costs. Is the answer to transparency in game dev, which has mostly just been a bad thing, is the answer really, I don't know, radical transparency?
I mean, I think
I don't
you
have a
almost
good answer
need
there.
it.
people are bad at, so we have examples of people don't even really like thinking about what work goes into the movies they make. Movies they see.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Ultimately, I blame it all on Chris Roberts for deciding to spend $12 million to make a video game. I mean, whoever heard of $12 million for a video game?
Ever heard of $12 million on a video game made by Chris Rowe? Wait, hold on.
I always come back to that because I remember when that was just like it was such a huge deal and so unheard of that the budget for Wing Commander 4 was $12 million. And I'm pretty sure like it sold a lot of copies. And I don't know if it made back that $12 million.
Probably eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a fairly popular game at the time, but it was also a much smaller market, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was also on consoles, so maybe it made back the money there.
Wing Commander 4?
Pretty sure it was on the 3DO, maybe?
I think it originally got ported to the PlayStation. I don't know if the PlayStation port was any good, though.
I don't know. Look, I mean, the 3DO was a thing, but it also didn't make any money.
There is probably
the game barely did make back its $10 million development cost.
The which one?
Wing Commander 4.
There is probably a way to ethically monetize. Ethically isn't even the right word. Monetize a game in a way that people are excited to participate in and not angered by.
Yeah.
That can be used as a model. And the person who figures that out is probably the most important person in video gaming for the next 20 years.
I mean, I do think that there are ways to do this. It's just like you are not making the same games that are like your top tier AAA games.
Yes, well, I mean that's definitely where like
we've already gotten there.
Yeah, that's definitely where like a lot of the indie space is not for necessarily that reason, but like if you cut scope enough, you can get to a game where it's like, yeah, this is a perfectly reasonable title.
You just actually have to cut scope enough.
Yeah, we made this with 3.5 people, and it's scoped like a game that we made with 3.5 people. And the downside, of course, being that you really better hope that your game is one of the ones that gets picked up and becomes viral, because otherwise you're going to vanish into the dregs of Steam.
You're going to be down with the shovelware undiscovered.
Or you have you sign up with a publisher who will put some amount of marketing behind you.
Well, I was going to say you take the Epic money, because absolutely you take the Epic money.
Well, so I mean, there's a couple paths forward. Money. Like I think Epic money is absolutely a thing. I also think Microsoft Game Pass is a thing, and it has become kind of a hotbed for smaller titles that just show up on Game Pass.
I've heard that deal is quite good, and I have no idea how.
Honestly, it might. The answer, like the bit I was talking about before, where it's like, oh, somebody's going to figure out how to crack the code. That might be Game Pass.
That might be it.
It might actually be Game Pass.
Because Microsoft needs fresh content every month. And not all of them are going to be big titles. Like some of them are going to be titles like The Gunk that are like, I don't know, a couple hour long experiences. And I know personally, I'm way more willing to try these titles because they also exist on GameCloud. And it takes me maybe a few minutes to boot into a GameCloud game, and I don't even have to download it, and I can just test it out and then decide, do I want to download this for my console or my PC?
So I was watching the Microsoft one, and it definitely convinced me that I should really reconsider my stance on not having a Game Pass right now. Because there's a bunch of big titles that I'm like, oh yeah, I really am looking forward to playing those. But there's also a bunch of weird titles that I'm like, I want to see what this is.
So kind of the coolest thing that I've seen that came out of that is a little thing that like nobody probably even like thought about. Microsoft is getting Valhalla, or not Valhalla.
Valheim. I saw
Valheim. That. Right. Okay. And it's going to be first on the Xbox Game Store for PC, and then it's going to launch on console. But here's the cool thing. It is going to be fully cross-play compatible with the Steam version on both platforms. So you're going to be able to continue playing Valheim with people that might have Game Pass or might have an Xbox, and they can all play together. And I don't know if I can think of another Microsoft title that has specifically crossplay with Steam. That wasn't a title that just has crossplay across all platforms. That definitely seems like a strategic decision.
Fantasy Star?
Yeah, Fantasy Star.
Can I install Game Pass games on my PC
Yes.
in a way that makes me not want to gouge my eyes out?
No.
Sort of.
They fixed it a little bit, but it's still...
It's better than it was.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not saying a lot, but you basically, instead of the Microsoft store, you go through the Xbox app.
The store is less bad than it used to be.
Yeah.
And the problems we had when Phantasy Star 2 was newish are mostly not a thing anymore because they did a better job of that.
Right. I mean, I can just install a game and not really think about it. I have to have the Xbox app installed, but that's kind of the only thing I am asked of me is to install that. And I will say, now that I have the console and play on my phone and play occasionally on PC if it's not a game that I've bought on Steam.
I have thought real hard about getting the console.
The coolest thing about it though is it's just seamless. I can play it on the console, I can pick up and play on my PC, and if I decide to boot it up on xCloud, I'm picking up the exact same save on all platforms. I just continue on my thing, and that is a magical experience.
Tam, you said you wanted to find a way to make people excited to spend money. Here you are.
Well, the thing that would I was just thinking about this. The thing that would clinch it for me? The Xbox deck.
What's the Xbox deck?
Like a Steam Deck. But
Steam
you can
Deck, but
you can
Xbox.
run gameplay on your Steam Deck.
That's streaming, and it's not quite the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing, but it is a thing that is existing. I think Microsoft really wants to put Game Pass on a bunch of platforms.
Which good reason.
Yeah. Honestly, if I didn't already have a PS5, I would pick up the whatever they're calling the console now. I refuse to dignify that with an attempt to figure out what it is.
I just refer to it as the XSX.
Series whatever.
Yes, Series X.
Definitely whatever.
But it's a really cool experience. So I give them a lot of credit for what they have done to rehabilitate their image and also make strides into being a non-zero presence in Japan, because they're picking up a lot of titles that would normally go to probably PlayStation.
I mean, this was their tactic at the start of the 360 era, and it just didn't work.
I mean, it works significantly better with the 360 than it did with the Xbox One.
They stopped doing it with the Xbox One because it didn't work.
I have heard Game Pass is actually rather popular in Japan.
I can believe that.
Because pay a fee, get a bunch of games.
Yeah, makes sense.
I did notice that there are certain titles that are strategically not coming to Xbox Game Pass on day one.
Sure.
Oh.
I don't think Starfield is.
Sure.
I mean, Starfield is going to be my Star Citizen, I think.
Mine is still Everspace, but we'll get there.
What?
Mine is still Everspace, but we'll get there. We'll get there eventually, maybe.
I fully plan to play both of them. I have this hope that just maybe we will be returning to
the era of space games.
Yeah. You know how long it's been? It's been a really long time.
Well, it's funny how things go in cycles. And I don't know if any of you listen to the podcast that Alana Pierce runs that's got Mike Bithell and Austin Wintory and Troy Baker on it. And they were just talking about that on the latest issue or episode that, their theory is that there's a lot of people that grew up playing space games and also horror games. like that came in at exactly the right time and now want to make this game and have now made their way into a leadership position to where they can, because we have a lot of space games and we have a lot of horror games all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and also the technology has finally gotten to the point where some of the pie in the sky dreams that people were having back in the 90s are at least somewhat possible.
Yeah. I mean, I remember playing a lot of games that tried really hard to do that, but didn't have the fidelity to pull it off.
Yeah.
Like,
and now we do.
Chris Roberts has been trying to make Star Citizen since the first Privateer. Like,
yeah, and maybe he'll finally do it this time.
Yeah,
but it's going to take a really long time because he's having to build the tech as he goes, and I think people are just going to have to be okay with waiting.
I wonder. I mean, I wonder if there's like in the era of early access. At first, I thought early access games are a bad idea, but having seen how people engage with them in various ways, I really wonder, what happens if you have an early access game where instead of what you normally see with the early access games, where they're like, it's early access, we're gonna release some stuff at times. And maybe you'll hear about it. Like,
a lot of games are doing better at that. Maybe you'll hear about it part.
Right. Yeah. If you get better and better at the maybe you'll hear about it part, and especially get to the point where you're like, ooh, what if you have like a whole marketing team dedicated to showcasing and having like celebrating your updates and structuring your game not around, oh, hey, we finished this thing and now we're going to tell you about it. But no, we are going to release these things on a schedule. You'll know about it beforehand, etc. Like we're working towards these things in a MMO style way. That seems like a potentially great way to recoup some of the costs of development live. Maybe that's what we do.
Well, and so you said something earlier, and I think that may be the key, is that we need more radical transparency in these situations. Because like a lot of times early access games come out and there is the illusion that the game is ready for play, like it's fit for purpose. And it is very much not the case. And people engage with it, and it sometimes goes viral, and it wasn't meant to be that public at that point. And I think one of the best things that Star Citizen has going for it right now is the fact that it just keeps resetting all the time. You can't really make any semblance of progress in it, right? Because it doesn't even save your character profile appearance.
No, it does.
Oh, it does now?
That was a bug. There was a bug. They fixed it. It does that now. It's just how it works now. It wasn't permanent at one point, but it's definitely a goal. And one of their more recent things was they updated their rolling wipes system so that they can wipe only certain parts of the game and not have to do full wipes. Which they haven't. I mean, they're still like, hey, we might still wipe. Don't get too attached, but they haven't. The last wipe was last year. And it came with all of this tech that was like, hey, we might only do a currency wipe, or we might do a character appearance wipe, or just a new ships wipe or whatever.
Still though, that game is engaging with that game is knowing that can happen.
Yes.
And this is buggy, and also things might break.
Yep. Absolutely.
These are things going in.
Yeah. And I feel like that's important. But yeah, it took me a while to come around to early access games. I think part of what finally turned me around and decide that early access could be good is realizing that one of my favorite indie games that I've ever played is possibly effectively the first early access game, that being Dwarf Fortress. Which has been in early access for 15 years and probably will be for another 15.
Yeah, well, I mean, Warframe is the forever beta.
Yeah.
I think somewhere deep down they say stuff like, "Oh no, this is a beta. This game is still beta." And
I feel like that's a bit of a cop out in Warframe's case.
Is what?
But it's definitely changing things all the time.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Dwarf Fortress, planned release date, time is subjective.
I have mixed feelings about early access, to be honest. Like, there's certain games that I'm not going to engage in because it's in early access, especially if it's a story-driven game.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, like Baldur's Gate 3 is in early access, and I have no desire.
Right. Yeah, I've got it sitting there. I will play it when it's done.
Yep.
Survival games, mechanical heavy games that aren't like super story. Yeah, no, I'll play them in early access.
Yeah, I feel like it works really well for like sandbox games, survival games, like Dwarf Fortress, Valheim, Subnautica,
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Even then, sometimes it's hard because if things do get wiped in those kinds of games, you've invested time in building things and it doesn't always feel great.
Yeah, having to rebuild and build all that.
Subnautica was in early access for a long time, right?
I think I really like the Minecraft approach to this because you had the power to decide when you wanted to move up to the next version. You could continue playing an old version. You can still do it. You can download any of the old versions you want. You just don't get all the bells and whistles until you upgrade. And when you upgrade, it's going to probably screw up your files from the previous version.
Yeah, I mean, Stellaris has been kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's Paradox's sort of development paradigm. Stellaris is definitely not an early access game. It was a game when it launched. Some systems were weird. They've been polishing them up over time. Some of the new polished systems were also weird. They've been replaced too.
Yeah, I mean, completely excising systems and replacing them. No Paradox game at launch is at all close to what it will be 5 years later.
Yeah.
Like, it's basically the same game, but like systems can be completely different.
But like, I really do think it comes down to setting expectations. Like, having an open dialogue with your community and letting them in on where we're at, where we're going.
As has been pointed out before, that tends to not go very well. Although it might go better if you went into it saying this is what's going to happen.
Right, exactly. And like, don't sell a pie in the sky marketing inflated roadmap. Just be honest about your direction. Like, that this is a theory. This is where we think we're going.
But like, I work in software development. That's going to be wrong a lot.
Yes.
Right. But revise.
Well, but that's the problem is now you have people who have screenshot your initial draft and are like, you betrayed us.
This was a promise.
That
broke your
promises. That would never happen. Repeatedly. Yeah, that definitely is an issue. As soon as you say, like, even if you say we would like to have this thing and this is how we're planning on trying to do it.
I bought this game because you promised me we would have that feature, and now you're telling me it's not going to have that feature. This game is literally unplayable.
Literally unplayable.
Yes.
Just as an aside, the Stellaris community likes to use that phrase for spelling errors.
We went off on a tangent.
We did, and we haven't even.
And we didn't actually even talk about not
the other games in the show yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, I finally have a date.
Not E3.
I mean, within the next 12 months is not a date.
Within the next 12 months is enough of a date for me.
It is more than you knew. I thought that was really interesting, like, because there's a bunch of games that I know are in the works that I thought might have been shown, but like, I kind of dug that they came out and set scope and like, these are just titles that are going to be out in the next year.
Probably.
Probably.
It is the Bethesda way, right?
Yeah, that is how Bethesda's been doing things for a little while, and it seems to work, I guess.
But yes, Silk Song, a new trailer.
Yay.
I'm so excited. Hornet looks very acrobatic, and I'm excited.
Or it looks a lot like Reaper Knight from Shovel Knight.
I did enjoy the Reaper Knight expansion of Shovel Knight.
I like platformers where movement is exciting and fun. I suspect they won't give me a fucking map, but
I mean, they will give you a map and then they will let you fill out that map more, and then they will still hide things from you because it's a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
no, I mean, I doubt that they are going to fix the thing that made me want to snap my my controller in half playing the original. But who knows? Maybe they will have options.
In other news, the Obsidian's big project was not at the show. We got to see one of their other small projects.
I love that they're just doing it, just going for it. I love the idea of like bigger studios doing like refreshing indie-ish titles as like experiments and stuff.
Yeah, I'm
then you
interested to see what they do with Pentiment.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember the title, but I don't remember anything about the game.
This was the like, you're a, what is it, writer, painter?
Painter, the medieval painting.
Oh, okay,
narrative.
yeah, no, I tuned out on that one.
Very unique
you missed
looking.
out. You missed out because it looks fascinating.
Mhm.
So yeah, Obsidian's games in this were Grounded, which has been in early access for some time, and Pentiment, which I'm pretty sure announced here. Their other major games, Avowed, nothing. Outer Worlds 2, nothing. So not the next 12 months, probably.
There was High on Life, which is a game that I'm somewhat curious about.
I want to play that game. I don't know if I will like any of it.
It looks weird.
I feel like you're going to have to like Rick and Morty to enjoy it, to be honest. Because it definitely, like, while not actually in that universe, it definitely feels like more of that universe.
It does look very strange.
It feels like Bugsnax to me. And I loved Bugsnax. So I'm bizarrely here for it.
This game does not seem like one that is for.
That's
Just
very
fine.
reasonable.
Like that's fine.
I also would call out Redfall as very interesting. Something I'm looking forward to.
I was way more interested in Redfall after watching some of the post-show discussion about it, to where there's like apparently plans for an actual single-player game that is independent of any of the multiplayer game.
Oh,
so
man.
you can do both.
The thing that Arcane has been doing lately has been like, apparently their new brand is, what if we show you a game that your first impression of is, nah, I don't want to play that. And then as we trickle out more details, you're like, I want to play that. Because this is the exact same arc that Deathloop had. When I first saw Deathloop, I was like, man, it's cool that they're branching out, but I do not want to play that game. And then that game was incredible. I'm here for Redfall based on like, oh, it's some like crossbreed between Borderlands and Left 4 Dead by way of Dishonored. Like, yes, I'm so here for that. It's got a sense of humor. It's like kind of campy. It is campy horror.
It looks like really fun gameplay mechanics with all of the different classes and how they interact with each other.
Yeah, it's all of the cool movement stuff. It's all of the cool like first-person movement stuff that I associate with Arcane and the things that make Arcane just super great in a multiplayer setting. And like, if you asked me to critique Borderlands, it's that after the first game, they kind of didn't really have movement. Like, movement was not really all that interesting. And when they tried to make movement interesting, they fell on their face.
Thing that I don't think we've talked about is I'm super excited for Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
Yes.
It looks very cool.
Yeah.
I am interested in Final Fantasy 16. I am excited about the new FF7 stuff.
Yeah, that's the freshest of stuff. I'm maybe more excited about Crisis Core Remake right now than I am the continuation of Final Fantasy 7, because I've never really engaged with Crisis Core.
Oh god, I love Crisis Core. I'm just like, I am unbelievably excited about both.
I guess I'm finally going to play Crisis Core.
Yeah, exactly.
It is excellent. You
It is
should.
very
So
fun.
good.
Yes.
It's so good, and I think the remaster, because I tried to replay it recently, and it was good, but
It's a PSP game.
yeah, and like
That was part of the
honestly,
problem, yeah.
it had some real questionable choices that, like, in terms of just things like menus.
Oh, I thought you were going to say systems because I don't expect them to fix that.
No, I think the systems were fine.
They're bonkers, but they're mostly fine.
Yeah, like they're honestly some of the craziest mechanics that haven't been super jank that I've seen.
I'm also on board with a Resident Evil 4 remake, continuing what they're doing with the remakes. Like, I need to actually play through the modern remakes.
I've just never really engaged with Resident Evil. I don't really know why.
I loved Resident Evil up through 3, and I never played another one since.
That's wild, Bell.
What?
The series changed dramatically at 4, and most people really liked 4 and not the games before it.
I
I
played
mean,
Resident Evils 2 and 3 and kind of stopped after 3. I'm in the same boat.
I loved 2 and 3,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, I wasn't a console gamer when 4 came out. Like,
I can tell you, Bell. I can tell you why.
EverQuest
Yes.
happened.
I was gonna say, isn't that period?
I mean, I played 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and then stopped.
I played 1, 2, 3 and Code Veronica, and I started 4, and I never finished it, and I don't really know why, because I was playing mostly console stuff then, so I just didn't finish it.
I guess that's not true, because I did play Code Veronica, because I was super into the Dreamcast. So I played 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica. But anyway, like, they look great. I've heard great things about them. Just random thing that popped up on my radar. It looks like MiHoYo is doing a Genshin Impact game, but like modern urban fantasy.
The Triple Z game.
Yeah.
Zinla Zone Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That one looks pretty wild.
With the very furry wolf mascot thingy on the cover.
Yes,
Modern-
which is how I heard about it, of course.
Modern urban fantasy is a genre we need more of, IMO.
Yeah.
I really
Hi.
need to play, now that I understand that it's not the game I thought it was, I really kind of want to play Tokyo whatever.
Ghostwire?
Ghostwire. I hear it's really,
It's a first-person action RPG.
yeah, I hear it's really good, actually.
First person caster action RPG.
Yes, like it's a first-person shooter, sort of, except you're a caster spells,
Yep.
and that's how you will play the shooter.
That sounds great. The last time I played a game that was well done like that, it was awesome.
I thought you were going to say it was Hexen.
No, but I can...
I loved Hexen and Heretic. That is honestly like one of the licenses that I hope Microsoft revives, since Activision doesn't seem to give a shit about it.
Aren't those Bethesda licenses?
No, it was Raven, who is now owned by Activision. It is the Doom engine, but it was Raven.
Still no news about any new Commander Keen games.
We can hope eventually.
Maybe someday.
So I think the mic drop moment for me of the Microsoft show is that with a Game Pass, you're just going to get all the League of Legends champions.
That's pretty impressive. And like all of the Valorant champions and
all of the things. Some
Most
of them
of
are
the
more
things.
limited, but yeah, just all champions unlocked. That's kind of significant.
I still don't want to play League of Legends, but
I
mean, I
enjoyed
did.
League
For a while.
a while, yeah. I'm kind of interested in Flintlock, but I'm not sure which direction that game is going to go. For me, it depends on how Dark Souls it's going to be. It looks very Dark Souls.
is that the one with the not a fox?
No, Flintlock is we are in a world where gods dominated over us and we discovered gunpowder and now are killing gods.
I mean, yes, that is the game with the not a fox.
Okay, I was about to say.
Oh, okay. Oh, the pet. I was thinking a main character.
No.
The
cute
one that
little-
lets you warp around. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, that is Flintlock.
Okay.
I mean, it looks
cool.
very Dark Souls.
It does look very Dark
Dark
Souls.
I'm really excited for it. I cannot wait to.
I am if they go the Fallen Order path of having a difficulty slider.
Yeah, I'd be fine
I mean,
with
most
that.
games not from Software have difficulty sliders.
And they're better for it.
They are.
Yep.
They're absolutely better for it.
Speaking of games that are totally just like Dark Souls, the game that I thought was Neo when they were showing it also looked kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah. What was that one called?
It's called Wolong Fallen Dynasty.
Yeah.
And it's definitely from the people who brought you Neo, so I wasn't that far off. I was just off biased. I was on the wrong side of the Strait of Japan.
It's a Team Ninja game, right?
Yes.
It looked like a Dynasty Warriors game.
It did not look like a Dynasty Warriors game to me.
Okay. Like, to me, it looked very Dynasty Warriors.
I think it kind of has the Three Kingdoms vibe, maybe.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's why.
It's a new Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Right, yeah.
Like, it is definitely based on similar sorts of things.
Right, because that was like Lubu at the end of
Like-
the trailer.
It's probably Lubu in there. It looked like the Yellow Turban Rebellion at the first start.
Yeah.
So, like, we're still in Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Just this is Soulsborne Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Oh boy.
Whatever. Neo was good. For some reason, I never played Neo 2. I don't honestly know why.
I never got all the way through Neo. I feel like I got to a boss that I did not quite understand what I was expected to be doing there. It had enough of a run back that it kind of just frustrated me.
I thought it was interesting that we're finally getting Persona 5 for PC.
Oh, well, yeah.
Sort of. through Microsoft.
Yeah, and it's the Royal version too, which is pretty cool.
We're getting
And P3P.
P3P,
Uh-huh.
Golden, and Royal.
Yes, very
Golden
cool.
is already out for PC, but the others are new.
Yeah. I'm very excited to play P3P.
I love that I'm so much of a fan that it's P3P. I know that there's
Persona 3 is so weird
yes.
in terms of like release availability.
Yeah.
It would have been so it would have I think it would be better if it was the whole thing, but I understand why it's not. Kind of a little bit. What I don't understand is why they didn't just make it correctly the first place, because seriously, but here we are.
I mean, when you say make it correctly in the first place, do you
I
mean the
mean
PS2 release or do you mean the PSP release?
I mean that there should not be two warring definitive versions of the game. It would be like if you had Persona 4 Golden and Persona 4 also there's a female main character version, and you don't get the same content in both.
I mean, when P3P came out, they were struggling to put it on the PSP.
I get it.
They made a lot of cuts.
I get it.
But as to why they couldn't take this opportunity to fix that problem,
Yeah.
But for the games that aren't Persona 3, I still haven't played Royal.
I haven't played Royal, and I should really play Golden.
Yeah, I need to play Royal.
Yes.
Golden-
Royal is very good.
Royal.
Even
I need
after
to play
playing-
Royal.
Yeah.
I have played Golden, and Golden is very good.
Yes, Persona 4 is one of my favorite RPGs of all time.
It is definitely worth everybody's time that enjoy RPGs and stuff. Yes.
It's also a game I have talked before about games that manage to like do different things and like showcase different emotions, and Persona 4 Golden understands how to do a wide variety of emotions. One of the ones that you don't see often enough, although you're seeing more, and I really appreciate it, being joy.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, we're actually allowed to have games that aren't just, 11 sads out of 10. It can be some sads, but also joy.
I think
It's
it is
nice.
much harder to adequately portray joy in a game.
Yeah.
That's just genuinely challenging.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a reason why, the first thing everybody went to was, jump scares and the like. And then after that, how sad can we be?
Yep.
Because those are reactions that are relatively easy to reliably elicit.
Yep. But like to truly capture, joy or Schadenfreude to some extent. So that's a bit easier. It's difficult. It's more difficult. And I love seeing games doing it. I mean, it's like the emotional palette that FF15 had. It was another one of those like, oh wow, those are complicated feelings that we are capturing here. Or the feeling of nostalgia that I've been living in for the past couple of months. The just pool of, oh my god, I'm 9 years old again.
The one not E3 thing that I kind of felt bad about was the Sony show, to be honest, because like there were some interesting things being shown. It was all either third party or VR games, but also I realized after the show that basically everything that I was interested in was coming out on Steam, and I'm probably just going to buy it on that platform instead of actually on the PlayStation. Like, Stray is a game I am super interested in.
I was about to say, Stray
Yes.
is... Oh, I guess Stray is going to be on the PC.
It is going to be on Steam.
Yes.
You can pre-order it right now.
Because, yeah, definitely want to play Stray.
Yes.
I will be a cat wandering around the robots.
The game where you play as the cat from Citizen Sleeper.
Like, I have no idea what the actual point of the game is, apart from be a cat wandering around the robots. And really, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want cool robot friends, and I want to be a cat. I mean, it's simple.
I will tell myself that this is the robot planet from Saga. These look like exactly those robots.
I was also kind of interested in the weird game where you have a rainbow hand. I don't know much more about that other than that. Eternights or
the
whatever.
visual novel-y. Yeah, that looked really cool too.
I tell you the visual novel that I was not feeling, and I can't remember the name of the game. It was like Into the Dawn or something like that, but it was like animatics instead of fully like animated things. I think it was on the Microsoft show, not the Sony show.
I'm real curious about Street Fighter 6. Because it looks like Yakuza.
I really like the paint splash thing whenever they do attacks.
Yeah.
That was a thing that they introduced in Street Fighter 4, and then they kind of backed off of it over the lifetime of that game. And then when Street Fighter 5 came out, they're like, maybe actually we should go into this. And they seem to keep going further and further into it as they go along. It's kind of amazing.
But yeah, I'm just like, are they making Street Fighter an open world game?
Probably not. I feel like, I mean,
it is Street Fighter after all. I mean, I can't imagine they are, but it looks interesting. Got my attention more than any Street Fighter since like 2 Turbo. Or no, actually, Marvel vs. Street Fighter. That would be the last time I paid attention to Street Fighter.
I mean, they have listed as modes on their website: Fighting Ground, which is your standard 1 versus 1 side view, so on and so forth; Battle Hub, which appears to just be their network hub; and World Tour, which is an immersive single player story mode.
Okay.
You probably just fight things Street Fighter style, but
probably.
I got to be honest, like that's one of the things that I like about modern Mortal Kombat games.
I love the girl plays blue. Like,
the Mortal Kombat story is kind of brain dead at times, but like the fact that you can play through it as a single player thing and you're changing perspectives of characters as you go, like it's really cool. Like they've done a good job with that.
I mean, this is how you get me to consider picking up a Street Fighter game again. So
I wasn't playing Blaze Blue for the fighting game. I mean, I kind of was, but I was mostly playing those games for the story. Remembering that you can put a story in a fighting game is an important thing to remember, I think.
Ideally,
I see Capcom getting back to it. I mean, yes, okay, if the story is not terrible, that helps.
It's also good if you can follow it. Hello.
Blaze Blue has a problem with that one, yeah.
Yeah.
The first game is a time loop. The second game is also a time loop. The third game is linear. What was that thing I just said earlier? Stories about time travel versus stories with time travel. The first Blaze Blue is definitely a story about time travel. They don't tell you this up front.
So, one of my general takeaways from the not E3 experience is because it's so spread out over the course of multiple weeks, I am way less engaged. I am way more apt to just watch trailers as they pop up on YouTube. I mean, which isn't a bad thing, other than the fact that, like, after whatever show Geoff Keighly does, you're just flooded with trailers.
I'm a little amused that there seems to be a developing face of games journalism as the publicity side and games journalism as the investigative side. Those seem to have representatives.
Good. Finally.
I mean, yeah. Separating those,
they aren't really
good
separate
stuff.
though. Like people just pretend to be one. I mean, okay, so Schreier exists. That's an important thing to note here.
It's true.
But like the rest of games journalism appears to be, hey, wait, we can just, without
Well,
we can just
okay.
regurgitate press releases.
So the problem is like the only quote unquote things that are even vaguely investigative are mining content from YouTube to dunk on people. Other than Schreier. Like Schreier does actual real research, which is a rarity. I don't know. I am getting a little tired though of the entirely promotional wing that regurgitates the promotionals or the PR releases.
The Keighly wing.
Yeah.
They have a function.
I mean, and to be honest, I'm engaging a lot with quote unquote professional games media a lot less as a result because it's just the PR announcements that I'm already getting in my inbox.
All right, you get those in your inbox.
I do get them in my inbox.
It's because you're an internet celebrity, Bill.
Yep.
I am on some mailing lists, and once you're on the mailing list, you never get removed from the mailing list. I mean, it's on the account that had Broken Mail Relay, so which is a whole side adventure that we're not going to get into today. Why Tam couldn't log into account because Bell broke email.
I do want to thank you, Bell, for making sure that all of our old versions of podcasts are up on our YouTube.
I mean, I'm still working on them.
They're getting there.
And since we're on YouTube, I want to make sure anyone listening to us likes, comments, and subscribes and smashes that bell button.
God, Kodra. There's a newspaper. I'm going to bop you in the nose.
I'm told it really helps.
It helps with the algorithm. No, nobody cares about us at all.
The fact that anyone listens to this show is still a surprise to me.
Like it's funny that we're nearing 400 episodes, and we've got like a couple hundred people that care in the world.
But we love them all.
We do. We do. Y'all are
confused.
Great.
Congrats.
I'm confused why you're listening, but
yeah,
Thank you for being here.
Like if you do decide you want to comment, like maybe comment and tell us why you're listening to our podcast.
I legitimately was trying to look into how to create a voicemail box just for the hell of it. Like a call-in line that you just leave us voicemail messages.
We could answer reader letters, except that they're podcasts.
It'd be kind of great.
Yes.
Oh man, we can make a version of Dial a Song, but it's just our podcast on loop.
Oh no.
I mean, I feel like you have to be of a certain age to understand that reference, but like I absolutely called into Dial a Song.
I mean, it still exists.
Sure.
They went through a lot of answering machines during the time of that.
Now I wish I had made the They Might Be Giants reference during the intro. I considered one.
There was a piece that I was watching, and it was basically on old technology and on answering machines. And there's a specific model of answering machines that they went through a lot of for Dial a Song. And I think it was like I don't remember. It might have been like a Radio Shack answering machine.
I mean, probably that would have been the place to go to get your.
Our first answering machine growing up was definitely a Radio Shack. I miss Radio Shack when they actually had stuff and existed.
I mean,
I was looking for a specific electronics part the other day, and I was mad that Radio Shack didn't exist.
I mean, apparently they do exist again in a way, and I wish they didn't.
Is it a way that's going to make me real sad?
Yes, it is.
Are they a crypto mining service?
Got it in one.
Boom.
Wow. Oh my god.
Wow.
I was like, what is the worst possible answer to this?
I wish I didn't know that.
Like the Twitter account is active again and being super edgelordy. It's creepy.
I thought it was bad that Tiger Direct basically has been domain camping for years, CompUSA and Computer City, and all of the failed computer stores so that you can type those addresses in and they just go to Tiger Direct. I thought that was bad. This is worse.
Yeah, but at least Tiger Direct
sells
At least
product.
selling
parts.
Yeah.
You can technically buy a computer there.
Like I would buy things from Tiger Direct willingly. Like, have done so.
I have in the past done that thing.
I don't know. That is so sad. Like that there are crypto zombies like that.
Yeah.
If you ever had any question about our feeling on such things, we do not like at all.
I mean, I thought I'd been quite vocal about that in the past. But
I thought we
just
had
to make
too.
sure.
Yeah, just make sure.
Go
Like
away.
It's all garbage.
the number, like, so I am on a very public Discord because it is the tech support Discord of a bot that I use, and I am constantly getting pinged about crypto scams. Like constantly, like it's just a thing. And it's because I actually back the bot and am paying for the bot. It's the thing that allows me to do the auto assignment of roles thing in the Super Dungeon Friends. And that Discord is constantly getting drive-by crypto scammers.
You should turn off the ability from people from that Discord to message you. You can do that. You should do that.
I did, but they still friend request me.
Oh, well, those are you just hitting the wrong.
Yeah. I mean, like, those are blocks, but still.
I remember when, like, multi-level marketing scams were at least entertaining to read about.
No.
And these aren't even
They're all
bad.
the same now. Promise the world, deliver nothing, run off with the money. Rinse, repeat.
What's disturbing about it, though, is it is so well known that most people assume there's going to be a rug pull. Yet they still do it. They still go through the motions. I don't get it.
It's fear of missing out.
Yes.
Maybe this will be the one. It won't.
It won't be the one.
No, it'll never be the one. And especially not right now.
I'm looking forward to somebody like coming up with a way to bring back the really old classic multi-level marketing scams and marry them with crypto. Like recreate the airplane
I'm
game,
sure it's
but
already
with
there.
crypto.
There's some 3v3 basketball tournament that's on right now, and like we have a bad habit of leaving CBS running all the time just because that's the evening news that we watch, and it's not actually unmuted currently, but the television's going. And I noticed there's some crypto component to that where they're selling a token where you can be a part owner of this 3v3 professional basketball franchise.
Oh, good Lord.
So, like, it just continues on. Like, some tech bro, I'm sure, sold Ice Cube a good story. And since he is the originator of this franchise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Ice Cube appears to have kind of fallen kind of hard for the stuff.
This is just a real meandering show.
I don't know what you expect.
So it's a show. It's one of our shows.
So you're saying it's a show?
This is more meandering than normal.
I think
again,
we have a
if you're
meandering topic, which is a bunch of different, like, not like this is a more meandering E3, right? Not
It
E3.
It is a meandering E3.
Brought it back.
Works out.
There you go.
Boom.
And once again, if you're listening to us, why?
Yeah, I mean, like someone told me the other day it was the authenticity, and okay,
I guess we are that.
we really
Definitely
do
have that.
we really do interact like this when we're not recording.
It's a true fact. We do.
Like, I'm pretty sure
You should see our Slack.
I'm pretty sure last show for a little bit towards the end we forgot that we were still recording.
Oh, absolutely. We were just talking about random game topics, I think, at that point.
Yeah, you gave me a bunch of platinum. It was awesome.
Yeah. I literally talked through dumping platinum in the bank for Kodra.
Yep. I really need to find a good way to get iron now.
Iron is everywhere. Just
no, it's really
harvest.
not.
It is. It really is.
Oh man.
I think iron is in more zones than anything else.
But,
other than Mithril.
Other than Mithril. But like So there has not been a new zone with iron in it since the launch of the game.
Well, right. Because iron is not a top level material.
This is a problem because there's been a lot of new zones. I feel like some of them should probably have had like
Actually, you're wrong. You're wrong. There is a zone since the launch of the game that does have iron in it.
Is it
Thunderhead Peaks?
What?
Thunderhead Peaks.
Thunderhead Peaks
has some iron nodes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Where? I feel like you're laughing.
We've done it again.
I am 100% telling the truth. They're up in the Howling Cliffs.
Okay.
There's a bunch of iron nodes up there and some gold.
Yeah, that's the bad thing about zones with iron.
But no, if you want iron, I usually go to Iron Marches or Dredge Haunt.
I guess my point is, and this is kind of irrelevant to the show. Like, I don't like going places for the purposes of farming. I like to gather materials while I'm doing something else.
Usually chasing the big naked dude is in a zone that contains iron.
Yes, like Iron Hills.
Kodra, I feel like the answer is to hop on an alt and do map completion, and you'll end up with tons of iron pending you actually harvest while you're going along.
Oh, that's fair.
I mean,
I should do that. I am trying. I am going to do I'm going to actually run through a bunch of different stuff on an alt, but I'm trying to get to story complete. I'm trying to catch up to the story finally, and I'm almost there.
Yay.
It's mostly fun. I've just been periodically buying a full stack of iron off the market. It's slowly going up in price though.
So one really quick topic is, and I put it on last week, but I didn't end up talking about it. If you are a Android phone user, the GameSir controller is amazing. It is more amazing than I realized when I thought I was going to talk about it, because it does the thing I wanted it to. It comes with screen mapping software, so you can play any phone game, even if it doesn't have controller support.
That's cool.
The only problem is you have to be willing to give this company access to your Android phone, because Google does not want screen mapping to exist. I have done this before with a really contorted process, and it was so annoying. This is not annoying. You just have to accept the fact that Google Play Protect is going to gripe at you every second of every day in your notifications that it really wants you to uninstall this app. But I was able to play Genshin Impact on my phone with a controller, and it was great. I have been playing a lot of Xbox Game Pass from bed on my phone with this controller. It originally was like $100 controller, and it's starting to get down to the point where you can pick it up for $50. There exists a Lightning version if you're an Apple user. However, if you're an Apple user, you probably just want to buy a Backbone controller and call it good. It is really nice to be able to play on a phone with a controller and have a Switch-like experience. It's great. Any final thoughts? Okay, well, hopefully someone listened to this out there. If not, cool. We'll record another one next week.
Yep.
Hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See ya.